How is it going, guys? Happy New Year to all of you. I wanted to put out this video for a while, and I think this is the perfect opportunity now that we are starting a new year um, for you to jump into properly tracking your data and getting more confidence through journaling your process. So this is a nice little quote that I found that Tim Ferriss said that basically sums up what I want to like you guys to realize for when what journaling is going to provide for you. And it's not that you have to present it to someone, or even though I would love to see your journals once in a while, but this is more for you, for your own accountability. But because in the end, you are only accountable to yourself. Like no one in the end cares whether you do the things that are going to make you better or whether you just tell someone, because in the end you want to be successful in this game, and the only way you are going to do this is by working on yourself, and uh, no one else is going to hold you accountable properly except yourself. So do it for yourself. Journaling is the best process to review your performance. And so let's dive in. Uh, this is not going to be a long video. I just want to show you guys what how I journal a little bit. No, I'm not going to show you my journal directly. I'm not going to show that stuff to anyone, but I'm going to show you examples and what I would expect from you guys when I ever, like, say, someone of you guys asks for, like feedback or for help, and I'm going to ask more of you from now on to show me your journal, show me your performance, show me your data, so we can dig into why something isn't working if it isn't working. All right, so first let's look into why you really want to journal and track data. So there's two reasons. The one part is like a human reason, which is the journaling part. You want to see the behavior that you are, your patterns, the way you behave. You need to be able to kind of track and see what you repeat, like mistakes you repeat. And the only way that it's going to crystallize out is by writing the stuff down, writing down your thoughts, writing down what you did wrong, and then go back and study what you repeatedly do badly. You also want to be able to go back and see how you've progressed, like see how you used to think about something a year ago and how your view has changed, or the aha moments that you've had this year that might give you inspiration to, like think about an issue in a different way. And lastly, you just want to be able to track and review your performance. And on the other hand, tracking data is the best way to find empirical evidence that something is working. So, how do you know selling puts works unless you track it? You track 100 trades, and out of the 100 trades, 86% are going to be profitable, or depending on where you sell the put, for example. But only by tracking the data, by doing the trades, you're going to find that empirical evidence. Backtesting is a one way, but you have to, like, backtests are never proof or of like a future performance, because there's other things that come into play when you actually have to place the trades. And speaking of placing the trades, that's the next thing. Once you have data that tells you this setup is working this many times in this environment, uh, under these conditions, then you are able to pull the trigger. You're able to get out when you need to take profits or when you need to stop out, but it also is going to allow you to stay in. So you won't have to ask anyone anymore about what do you think the stock is going to do tomorrow. You're going to have your rule set that is going to drive your decisions. So when you're journaling or when you're setting up stuff like that, you want to kind of distinguish between a setup or a thesis that guides you before a trade and the reviewing process afterwards, right? So what creating a thesis can look like is like something you need to have a certain amount of rules to know how you're going to place your trades. Like what kind of setups do you think are you going to do well? You're going to set up a thesis, and then you're tracking that over 100, 200, 300, 1,000 trades. Then you can tell whether it's actually profitable. So what you want to be able to track is, of course, the setup. So say in my example here, it's the uppercut long, or say a 1430 MA crossover or something like that. But let's stick with the uppercut long for now. So what's your trigger? What is making this setup valid? So, for a uppercut long, usually the trigger could be like the daily is closing over the uppercut, but that doesn't mean that you're placing a trade just yet. So, but just to stay with the trigger for a second, like other confirming factors could be like, say, we've just broken a trend line, or like we've been holding over resistance. We have like a technical breakout, or say there's a fundamental catalyst that say like there's either news or earnings or something like that that's come out that like justifies a long. And then the next step is, where do you actually enter? Because you don't just want to rush in. So for like a daily uppercut long, you could watch, say, these are just examples. You don't have to do it like that. Watch for the 4 hour to break over its uppercut as well, which it probably is if the daily closes over, and then say that could be a trigger. Or intraday, you're after the daily has closed over the uppercut, you on the next day you watch for a retrace into the uppercut, and you wait for at least a 15-minute hold over VWAP, and that could be a long trigger, for example. So just so you see, it's not actually going to fall back under the uppercut. For example, the 15-minute VWAP hold could be like an indicator that it's holding. Just these are examples. I'm not saying I'm trading like that. This is just like inspiration how you could structure your thesis. And then of course you need a exit strategy as well. Where do you trade profit and where is your stop? So say profit taking can be like you take 30% off when you have like a 50% profit on your contracts, or you sell 50% if we close over the Bollinger Bands, or you sell 50% or sell 30% or whichever percentage you want to sell if we close under the 10 moving average, or if we close back under the uppercut or something like that. And of course, you also need if you want to work with stop losses, with options trading, most of the time, I personally just use, if I use the either the spread as the max loss, or the options worth, like the options price itself. But if you trade like a lot higher priced options, you want to put like, I don't know, a stop loss, like a 20% stop or whatever, a technical stop, say a support break or something like that, that's getting you out. So these are the things you want to define. And now you have a framework. This is how you place trades. So whenever a stock closes over the uppercut, or whatever, the trigger should be, you wait for your entry signal and you hold until these like one of the attributes that you've defined is true. This is basically just what you're building is an algorithm, but a human algorithm, or just a trading system, a strategy that you can adhere to. So that's basically that for before a trade, when you create a thesis. So now, how do you track the data after you've placed a certain amount of trades? So what you want to track is, of course, the setup. What setup are you tracking? You want to track the win percentage. How much do I win? How often do I win with this setup? So you can see whether your average win is actually outpacing your average loss. You want to see the average time in trade, which is going to improve your expiration selection, for example. Profit factor is showing you whether it's actually making sense to deploy capital in this versus, say, like a just holding a benchmark like the S&P or something like that. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, you could also say um, how much does the stock again move against me, or in my move against me before it turns profitable, or how much does it move for me before it becomes a loser. So you could perhaps adjust stop losses or profit taking or stuff like that, which can, if you really dig down, help you as well. And then the next part, of course, is you want to track yourself, aka you need to journal. This is just as important as tracking data. So you want to review at least on a monthly basis. I personally do it on a weekly basis. What did I do well? What did I do badly? How can I improve? And also things that were out of control. So say you were in the perfect trade and Trump tweets that he's attacking Afghanistan again, or Trump, finally someone found something to charge him with, that he's has to resign from office, something like that. I'm mentioning Trump because he's the main catalyst that does unexpected things these days. So that's what you want to review, and then you want to take action and define something that you want to work on for the next month. And don't overdo it there. Try to work on just a few things, the stuff that you think is the most that needs the most work, and you need to define that as well. So the next month you can, or next week you can track whether you did a good job, whether you've achieved the goal, and then you can decide again what you're going to work, whether you have to work on it more, or whether you have you can focus on something else. So that's almost it already. Now let's look at just a few examples for how I track my data. So this is a setup that I've been trading since September 2018. Actually, I've just been tracking it since then. And as you see, I've stopped tracking in August last year because I've been so busy at work and I haven't uploaded data for half a year now. And it's going to be a big task for me once I'm done here in Sydney to catch up on all that data tracking. But believe me, I will do this, because look at this setup. I'm not going to be telling you what kind of setup this is or anything like that. It's just, I look at this and I know this setup is making me money. So the next time I see it, based on the the variables that I've defined for this one, I have absolute confidence that this is going to work. I have drawdowns, but I know that over time this makes me money. These drawdowns, by the way, was just when I was starting to experiment, start getting a bit loose. So that's another thing, once you have a bit of confidence, you know where your base is that is working, and you can start working on loosening up a bit or changing variables. And that's what I started doing late last year, or it was early last year actually. So just this is an example. And if you wonder where I get this data, I'm using TraderView. So I've prepared here the empty site. So you see, I have a tag that I'm not using, so everything is empty. But basically, this is what this looks like. So you have every day you can import trades. You can import them from here, or you can create them yourself in here when you hit here new trade. You have an overview, say over the day, every day, how profitable it was or whether it made money. You can overview the years, the months. But what I really find very powerful is this stuff. So you have a complete overview over, you can say your whole portfolio, but then you can also go and tag stuff and track individual tags. You can compare win versus loss days, and you can really dig down here, say which day of the week at what time, how do you perform, which kind of price do you perform best, at which price, which instrument has been the best, what was the market behavior that you performed in the best, and then of course like the win loss that you've seen, just earlier, expectation. And liquidity, that's more of a trading thing, like if you're trading stock, and it's for like, I'm not using this because I've completely switched to options now. But basically that's, like it would track like whether you do, how well you do by adding or taking liquidity, but that's not that important. So like that's something you guys could look into if you wanted to, like not use an Excel spreadsheet, but of course you could track all of this in an Excel as well. So that's that, guys. I'm gonna try and ask you guys for journal entries a bit more if someone asks questions, and I know Nikki and ATG will do that as well, because only if you guys track your performance, guys. Any elite athlete tracks their performance. They journal how they did. They journal what they freaking ate. They journal they track everything. Only by doing that, you're gonna fine tune the machine, which is your trading system. So yeah, with that, let's have a good year, guys. I'm very excited. It's gonna be awesome. Thanks for all the support in chat, for all the contributions. The group is growing, and the group is um, growing in size, but growing in knowledge as well. And we have lots of stuff prepared for you. As soon as I get back to New Zealand, I'm going to start producing tons of great new content for you guys. And I know Nikki and ATG are going to have lots of plans as well to implement with you guys. So with that, thanks guys, and I'll talk to you guys soon.